Welcome to Sports News. Kano Pillars Basketball Club won their first game at the FIBA Africa Champions Cup in Cairo, Egypt. The Nigerian champions beat Nzui-Manto of Cameroon 86-75 in their second game played at the Al Ahly Arena. Abdul Yahaha led the way with 20 points, 6 rebounds and 3 assists as Kano Pillars bounced back from their opening game defeat to Club Africain. They will next face Deportivo de Agosto on Sunday, December the 11th. Mamelodi Sundowns star Kama Billiat believes the team's unity will prove to be their biggest strength in Japan as they aim to reach the final of the FIFA Club World Cup. The African champions will start their campaign in the quarterfinals of the showpiece against host club Kashima Antlers at the Suita City Stadium in Osaka on Sunday. The match will introduce the Brazilians to a global audience. No African team has ever won the tournament. And in the English Premier League, defending champions Leicester City pulled off the biggest upset after beating title contenders Manchester City 4-2 at the King Power Stadium in what was seen by many as a one-sided game. Arsenal beat Stoke City 3-1 after going a goal down at the Emirates. Theo Walcott, Mesut Ozil and Super Eagles forward Alex Iwobi were all on the score sheet as the Gunners climbed to the top of the league table. Burnley secured a hard-fought 3-2 victory over Bournemouth at Turf Moor, while Hull City played a 3-3 draw with Crystal Palace. Swansea City put 3 goals past relegation-threatened Sunderland, while Odione Gallo's Watford defeated Everton 3-2 in the early kickoff. Meanwhile, Barcelona striker Luis Suarez is set to sign a new deal until 2022. Suarez has won 2 La Liga titles and the Champions League since moving to the Nou Camp in July 2014 in a £75 million deal. Barcelona president Josep Maria Bartomeu says it's done. Just a few small details needed to be sorted and will announce it in the next few days or weeks. End of quote. The 29-year-old won last season's European Golden Shoe after scoring 40 league goals. And those are our stories in the world of sports. The rest of the news continues in just a moment with Harriet.
In the Gambia, President Yahya Jammeh has rejected the result of the presidential election held earlier this month, 1 week after admitting defeat. Mr. Jammeh cited abnormalities in the vote and called for fresh elections. Mr. Jammeh, who took power in a coup in 1994, was defeated by Adama Barrow, who won by more than 43% of the votes. The president-elect has accused the incumbent of damaging democracy by refusing to accept the result.
Gambia's President Yahya Jammeh says that he rejects the outcome of last week's election, that he lost to opposition leader Adama Barrow, and he called for fresh elections.
I hereby announce to you Gambians my total rejection of the election results and thereby annulling the elections in its entirety, and until we will go back to the polls, because I want to make sure that every Gambian has voted.
The announcement made on state television throws the future of the West African country into doubt after an unexpected election result that ended Jammeh's 22-year rule and was widely seen as a moment of democratic hope.
To the other team, we've seen what has been happening these days. Well, let me make it very clear. The intervention of foreign powers in this country would not change anything. We know that plans were made or are being made for foreign troops to come because you have no confidence in the Gambian soldiers, children of the Gambia, employed and selected all across the country. I made one thing very clear, that, and I swore to the Almighty Allah and the Quran, that Gambia would not be colonized twice or enslaved twice, and this will not happen in a billion years.
Human rights groups say Jammeh's government detained, tortured and killed opponents during his rule, and his defeat sparked wild celebrations. But some people also said they doubted whether he would accept defeat. Official election results from the Electoral Commission gave Barrow, a real estate developer who once worked as a security guard in London, 45.5% of the vote, against Jammeh's 36.7%. Mr. Barrow had been expected to take over in late January, following a transition period.
Islamic State group fighters have re-entered Palmyra 9 months after losing the ancient Syrian city. Palmyra was home to the Islamic State and its nearby ruins for 10 months before it was recaptured by Syrian government in March. Meanwhile, Russian-backed Syrian government forces are said to be closing in on the remaining rebel-held area of the city of Aleppo. The two militaries have since turned their attention to fighting local opposition forces in Aleppo and Damascus. Rebels in the second largest city claim that any more government fighters moving south would hinder President Bashar al-Assad's efforts in Aleppo. Just as it appears one fight is nearing its end for Assad, another has only just begun. And the main news again. Many are reported to have died in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital, today after a church building belonging to Rainers Bible Church collapsed, leaving several others injured. Also today, a large turnout of voters was recorded in the River State legislative rerun elections, just as pockets of violence were said to have marred the polls in some areas. And the Islamic State fighters today re-enter the ancient city of Palmyra 9 months after losing it to Syrian government forces. And that's it on the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Harriet Admini. Have a good night and enjoy the rest of your weekend.